Welcome to an episode of Conversations with Neighbours. Today we have Joanne Russo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning of this. How do you get into the world of bankruptcy, I guess?
That's a great question, actually. So I don't think you actually get into the world of it. I think these are individuals that are financially struggling. And when I say individuals, it can be a person or a company. And they've ran into a situation and simply just need some guidance as to what do I do? I've run into a financial problem and I seriously need some help and guidance as to what my roadmap looks like.
Yeah. Now, you and your company, Russo Corp, how did that begin? How did that get started? Take me back to the beginning of that.
That's a long story. Well, so I've been doing this since 30 years from now. 30 years ago, I fell into the insolvency world. I always talk about my mentor, who I wanted to practice law, kind of fell into insolvency law, and I couldn't turn back. The need to help people, to guide them, the different reasons why people fall into financial difficulties, whether it be divorce, marriage, changes of time, anxiety, depression. I just felt there was a niche for me to be able to help people.
And for those that don't know, which I don't know, what's the difference between bankruptcy and insolvency?
Well, insolvency is the concept.
Okay.
So you have an individual that is financially struggling for whatever means, and that would be the cause. What brought you here today? Could it have been a marriage breakdown? Could it have been the fact that you're a senior and you're financially can't afford to maintain your day-to-day expenses? So you come see someone like myself, a licensed insolvency trustee, and we do an assessment on your situation. We look at, what your circumstances look like, and we essentially lay out the options that are available to you. You could either file a proposal, which is sort of a repayment plan back to your creditors, or you can assign yourself into bankruptcy. And we go through those stages and we talk about the options and what option is best suited for you.
And what makes your company different than some others?
Different in many ways, I would like to think. Number one, I got a fantastic team. We care about your goals. We sort of take the extra step in ensuring that when you come see us, we'll guide you through the process. So the process is typically a 9-month process in an individual sort of situation, depending again on their circumstances. But we take them in, we guide them and sort of give them the confidence that the hardest part is coming through our doors. The rest is a journey that we're going to guide you through and walk you through. Typically, they don't see light at the end of the tunnel. So I think what makes us special and unique is we handhold them. We sort of guide them through the step-by-step process and walk them through that journey, if it is a 9-month journey, again, depending on their situation. And at the end, we always know that they believe and understand that this process does work. I believe it works. We take an enormous amount of stress off their plate and the worries seem to go away so that they can understand why they came there, why this has happened to them, and what it means for them long term.
And so 30 plus years you've been in this business and you've had a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life come through those doors for their help. And obviously this is a emotional topic, stressful topic. Talk about kind of that human element of these individuals that come in when they come into your doors.
Wow. They come in emotionally distraught. They feel like they failed. I'll never forget the word that someone once told me. I feel very vulnerable. I have to sort of give you everything and my trust is in you. And we don't take that trust. We take that trust very seriously. Some of them are depressed, anxious. Mental health is definitely an issue. So it's not just simply the debt aspect of things that we work towards. The debt will get disposed of, but how do you help them get them out of that mental struggle? A lot of them feel like they failed. this has happened to me. I feel like I failed. Or how do I get back on my feet? Or how do I keep my home? What do I tell my spouse? What do I do with my children? Where do I go from here? So there is a lot of psychology that happens throughout this process. Most of them wish not to be in that position. So understanding the consequence of what happened and what brought you here is also part of the journey. And understanding that this process is there to give you your fresh start.
Yeah. And I know that no judgment is a big part of your business too. So how do you try to curate or create a safe space for people when they come in? Because like you had just mentioned, it's a very emotionally heavy thing that they're going through. Obviously you have the financial part of it, but the emotional side of it. So creating a safe space for them.
I think the safest space that they feel is that everything's going to be okay. We always say to everyone who walks in our office, we're going to be working together throughout this journey. So you have to have faith in our team as much as we have to have faith in working with you. Understanding why you're here is part of that process too. What's the reason that brought you here? A lot of them think they may know the reason, but a lot of them have to go really deep in understanding the reason. Could it have been that marriage breakdown? Could it have been the fact that if it was COVID, which is a big issue, COVID wasn't your fault. It was beyond our control. So having to be able to speak to someone and understand the causes and really break down the causes so that you internally can understand it is part of that journey.
Yeah, for sure. What are some common myths around bankruptcy and solvency that are kind of out there? Like first thing that comes to mind is, I don't know, just shit went wrong. That's it. Like, is that the only way? I'm sure there's lots of things in your industry that outsiders might think of, but you live it. So
that's a great question, actually, because that talks about the stigma of bankruptcy. So everyone thinks there's a stigma behind bankruptcy.
Yeah, it's like a dirty word, like, oh, bankrupt. Like,
yeah, and it's funny, even when I say what I do, they're like, oh, wow. And it's not actually. And I think it's because many don't understand it. So I kind of explain it as a way simply as you've ran into a problem and there's a solution. Now we're going to work through that solution together. And at the end, and it's a direct quote from the act, is you're going to walk out of here with a fresh start. And that fresh start is going to make you forget about the past, acknowledge the past, but allow you to move forward. It's not so bad.
When did the tool of like bankruptcy?
In the 1900s.
In the 1900s, yeah.
1900s. And we're still working with legislation that goes back to the 1900s. And that could be why there's this stigma, because historically, credit was given to individuals that were with financial wealth. Over the years, credit was given to a lot of individuals. So now it's not a thing of the past anymore. Debt actually exists in young generation. So when we look at people coming into our office, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a certain class of people or a certain age group of people. You could have the young generation that's just come out of a university who's going to walk out with debt. You could have that young individual that's just started a career but doesn't know how to run a business or doesn't know how to financially structure themselves. Or you can go to the extreme of a senior that has either lent their children a lot of money, but now they have to go into a retirement home and just don't have the means to pay it. So it goes back to, and I think it's so important, understanding the reasons why you're here.
Yeah, I feel like debt has now, or credit has been given out a lot more freely without the education behind it. I know when I was young, like I was given credit and I didn't even understand what I was doing.
Yeah, very true. It's right.
And then next thing they're like, you actually have $8,000 you got to pay back on this credit card. And it's like, oh, jeez.
Credit is easy.
Yeah.
Credit is easy. And a lot of people assume that just because my banker gave me the credit, it means I can afford it.
Yeah.
Which is far from the truth. Or even tax debt. Like we see a lot of tax debt. Most parties don't recognize that you too can make a deal with CRA for your tax debt. And a lot of people do file because they've either ran a business and now have exposure because they've operated a business, or individuals that just haven't set aside enough money going back to the young generation, I was talking to one of my colleagues is the young generations today will graduate, will get a job, and not understand how you have to set aside taxes, which is a big problem. So they'll come see us because they're making a significant amount of money, but didn't understand the tax component of having to set aside money for tax. And what do I do? What do you do? CRA so aggressive lately.
Yeah, happened to me too. I remember I had like a $27,000 tax bill. I was like, oh my goodness.
How do I pay?
I thought I was balling that year until that came.
That's right. It's like because you don't know what to do, and who do you turn to?
Yeah.
Who do I turn to? And
I turned to no one. I was like one of those things. I was like, ooh, this feels scary. I got to just figure this out before the CRA locks all my bank accounts.
And you're great because most people go into fear.
Yeah.
It's like fear. It's interesting what fear can bring. You're either going to put yourself in a corner and ignore it and hope it goes away, or you're the type of individual that's going to say, I need to talk to somebody about it. But who do I talk to?
Yeah.
Or I'm too embarrassed to talk to anybody about it.
Yeah.
What I've noticed since the pandemic is more and more individuals are more comfortable to talk about their debt because they recognize they're just not alone. And I think that's what a lot of individuals need to recognize is that you're not alone. There are tools that are available out there to help you get through this process. It's just understanding them.
Yeah. So how has the company evolved since you've started? How has it grown? Obviously, the team or more cases. Walk me through the evolution of it.
I think in this specific area, it's not an area that I could ever see dying, if that's even the right choice of words. Mm-hmm. Debt is debt. Overextension of credit is overextension of credit. Economic churn down is always going to be an issue. Like we'll look at COVID being one big factor that has impacted a lot of businesses, a lot of individuals. You'll look at what's happening in the U.S. market today and the talk about what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Yeah. That's definitely going to bring a turnover and insolvency numbers are going to rise. Yes, and so, the trend of whether someone's going to file a proposal versus whether someone's going to file an assignment in bankruptcy is going to dictate how the economy is doing in a certain way. But I don't think it's something that will ever change because we live in a world where, there will always be credit and there will be, sadly, turnovers like a dying market or,
the market changing. Like credit is a part of our economy, like so intertwined with it. And you can't change like these other forces, like a business owner puts out a lot of credit for a product, stuff like this. Then a tariff thing happens. It changes the whole business of it, but you're already extended out on the credit side where, very quickly, 6, 8, 9 months, you could be in a position where you can no longer pay that back, I guess.
Exactly. But interestingly enough, and another stigma, if stigma is the right choice of words, is once someone does file, the repeat statistically is very minimal. Mm. So what an individual or a company does gain from this process is they never want to do it again. They recognize the emotional impact it has caused them to get to that door to see someone like ourselves and are given the tools to say, I know now what I can forecast down the road. And I think that's a gift, actually, because, you want to be able to identify the areas. I mean, yes, understandably, there are times that are beyond your control, but it is an interesting fact that statistically repeats is very minimal. Yeah. Which says a lot about the process.
Yeah. Walk me through a day in the life of your work. Like, is it changing every single day? Do you have a certain cadence to what your day looks like? People coming in? Walk me through that.
That's a great question and an interesting question. So my day today was a very emotional day. I think everyone we spoke to today was just very much teary, emotional, and stressed. A lot. The emotions that I felt today from the onset of this morning was, I don't know what to do. I can't handle this. Just take this pain away. That was my day today with about 6 different people that I spoke to. And a lot of it tends to be the fact of fear, the fact that you have someone on the other side making it scary for you. If it's your banker telling you that they're going to take your house away, the fact that you just financially just don't know how to deal with the legalities of things. So that was my day today. I had a day today where sadly, a lot of individuals simply have lost their jobs and can't afford to make their mortgage payments, and don't know where tomorrow will stand. Is their banker going to work with them and helping them keep their home? What if they can't keep their home? Where would they go afterwards? Or what does my credit look like? So, and I can appreciate that because I always say, if I'm in that situation, I hope I can get some sort of guidance to guide me because it is a stressful moment. And I always say we have to take a step back and do things in baby steps. Baby steps means let's acknowledge where we are today. Let's be true to ourselves as to where we want to go tomorrow and what our goals are. Goal setting to me is going to be a process that will help you get to the end recovery. And if it means you have to walk away from your house, that sucks. But that's okay too. Because at the end, imagine yourself having peace. And there's no greater gift than peace. So this process will give you peace. We just have to get there.
Yeah. And we tend to think really short term, even though life typically is long, and there's lots of times for the story to change and evolve and end up in a new place, even though it might feel super dark right now. Mm-hmm. How do you keep your team aligned with this compassionate mindset? I know that's important to how you deal with these individuals. So how do you keep your team on that same driving force?
Well, I got to say I'm fortunate. I got a team that really cares. So I think what makes us different is we care. So anyone going out there wanting to work with a trustee, and sometimes we get people in our office that say, we've gone to 3 trustees before we come to see you. And I say, that's perfect. Because you want to be able to work through this process with someone that you feel comfortable with and trust. So my team, they're all specialized and unique in their own areas, whether it be banking or corporate. But they all care about who walks through that door. That's something that we promote. You're not just filing. We're not running what we call a typical sausage machine in and out. You're going to sit. We're going to guide you through that process. And we stick at being and promoting that we are a boutique firm. We are a boutique firm for a reason. You're coming in because you're getting the service of a boutique office. I just don't want an office where you're going to walk in there and I can't remember what you look like. The thing that would scare me.
Yeah. You're a person, not a number.
Exactly.
What's a piece of advice for a young professional or an entrepreneur, smart financial habit, like a little golden nugget that you could give them?
If you're going to start your own business, must get an accountant or a bookkeeper. Never run your own books. Your job is to go out there and be great at what you do. If you're going to try to master everything in one business, it's going to fail at one aspect or another. So recognize that when you're going to go out there, do have a support team around you that are key. Bookkeeping to me is always key.
Yeah, for sure. I hate accounting, so yeah. I've always had one. Put money aside for taxes.
Yeah, and put money aside. Your bookkeeper should tell you to put aside money for taxes.
Yeah, I think back at that era.
And also walk into it never forgetting. Like I told myself, I love what I do. I still feel the same way that I did when I started in my early 20s. If you remind yourself of that, it won't feel like work. It really generally won't feel like work. I don't feel like I go to work every day. I'm going to go help someone today. And if I focus on that, I shouldn't have to worry about the accounting aspects of it. I don't want to do accounting. I don't want to run my own books. I want to be there to help you. But I got to recognize that that's going to take time too. So a lot of if we're talking about younger generation, their goal is money, 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 money. Well, sometimes we're going to take a step back and say, yes, we do need money. But if you really want to excel at what you're doing, you got to stay focused on what you do, because that will naturally grow.
Yeah. So when you're not helping clients, what do you like to do outside of business?
Love my children, love my dogs, love everyone in my life. So I enjoy quality time with the people that I enjoy being with. Relaxing, walking, reading.
Yeah.
If I can squeeze yoga in there, that's like an added bonus for me.
Yeah. Okay. And what's next for the company? You're going to be doing some more studio sessions like this?
I would love to. I think bring awareness. I think the awareness is to take away the stigma of the fact that this is, to your point, doom and gloom, to bring awareness of what's an acknowledgement of what's really happening out there, and to give people the tools that there is a way to help. This process isn't there to take things away from you. It's there to guide you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being on here. I'm excited to see what else you put out. I think it will be a good awareness and education rather than people only becoming aware of it when they're in the situation, kind of some prevention before that. And, awareness and education is the key to that. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.